Hello again, everybody. Welcome to Two Man Game here on Claves Online. I'm Bob Ramsey. That is my partner, Matt Rocc. Rocc, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing great, Raymer. How you doing?
Doing very well as basketball keeps rolling on. This Final Four, we got an extension where we didn't maybe think we would get one, so we got a little bonus NBA playoff action. But first, a quick thought about the St. Louis University Billikens and they had a groundbreaking yesterday for the O'Loughlin Family Champion Center, a student athlete center, $25 million center that will be an expansion of the Chaffetz Arena complex, and not directly attached to the arena, but to the offices that are attached to the arena. This will be an extension of that. It will be state of the art with everything from nutrition and mental health and academics and just anything a student athlete could need to improve their situation and help empower them to have the best student athlete experience possible and to prepare them not only for what they're doing athletically, academically, but postgraduate as well. Very, very exciting. Bob and Steve O'Loughlin, who sort of spearheaded the fundraising of the $25 million project. Their experience in St. Louis maybe is best known but by salvaging, and not only salvaging, but making Union Station a great centerpiece for tourism in St. Louis. So that's the kind of stuff they do. And it was really a fun day. And, 500 student athletes a day will go through there.
Yeah, and just when you talked about the sports psychology aspects, the nutrition wellness, I mean those little things, the margins, that's a big thing. A lot of time we talk about these facilities, in the very surface way of what kind of how does this make you guys look? Are you a top program because of these amenities and those kind of things? But man, those little things just on the edges, on the margins like that. Remember how big it was, this past season when they, or I guess 2 years ago now, when they didn't have any meals together, and that affected team chemistry and things like that. And so having a state-of-the-art facility where these guys are constantly at all times able to just do their entire, do their workouts, do their classwork, and work on things just in like one big facility when you never have to branch out or anything like that. That's a great thing for St. Louis, and obviously congratulations to everyone at St. Louis and the O'Loughlin family for what they put together. It looks absolutely amazing. Can't wait to see how it looks when they finish it up.
So it should be when the students come back to school in the fall of 23, the O'Loughlin Family Student Center should be, or I should say, O'Loughlin Family Champion Center on campus should be open and ready to go. It'll be very exciting. You're right.
I mean, you open it up with some trophies. I think that sounds like a good plan.
that'd be very nice. I am told there will not be extra space for broadcasters. So
wow, unbelievable.
That's the way it works.
Oh well.
Let's switch to the pro game. Teased it first of all by a game that I'm not sure we expected. Mavericks Warriors in Dallas. So my streak of getting every game wrong continues. I think it's got to be the worst playoffs picked in the history of picking.
I mean, the crazy part here is I want to just I want to be really, self-deprecating and stuff like that. But I just have to be honest. Everyone's getting everything wrong. I mean, the professionals are having the exact same issue because it's so back and forth. Bill Barnwell, for ESPN was tweeting out. He goes, okay, anyone know what's going to happen here in Game 4? Because I sure as hell don't. And kind of just it just keeps shifting wildly here and there and everywhere. And so, yeah, I mean, I thought when it was 3-0 Warriors and 2-1 Heat, I was like, looks like a pretty definitive stance. And like a moron, I have clearly not learned anything from the last 3 weeks. And I was like, yep, that's where we're going to be at. And then somehow I was sitting there slack-jawed like aforementioned moron on Wednesday or on Tuesday or Monday and Tuesday as the Celtics dismantle the Heat to go to tie that one 2-2, and then the Mavericks force a Game 5, which I didn't think was actually going to happen.
So let's talk about the Warriors Mavericks in a game. Okay, they scored. They got up by 30. They ended up winning, what was it, by 10 or whatever it was. The Mavericks make 20 threes.
Yeah.
We had touted, and I think appropriately so, the Warriors defense, and that would be the difference. What the heck happened?
Well, I mean, and we talked about how the Mavs could win Game 3 over the weekend. They didn't because those tertiary shooters didn't shoot like that. And I'm not sure how it just opens up like that, but that's what I thought would be the difference in Game 3. It wasn't. Those guys didn't shoot. I'm actually kind of more impressed with Luka Doncic and some of the other guys we didn't talk about, like Dwight Powell with the Mavericks. I'm actually kind of impressed that they were able to keep Game 3 that close without Dorian Finney-Smith and Reggie Bullock and Jalen Brunson doing what they did in that Game 4 we just saw. But so what we talked about on Thursday or on Friday, that's exactly what happened Game 4. The tertiary shooters came out and hit the shots they needed to hit. The Warriors said, we're going to make Luka make these plays to beat us. Luka wasn't hitting his shots. He only hit 1 3. The inefficiency kind of popped up, but he constantly was able to get the ball to Dorian Finney-Smith, to Reggie Bullock. Jalen Brunson was able to do some things both as a secondary player to Luka Doncic and when he was running the offense on his own. And you saw what happened, like you said. They hit 20 of 43 threes. You get 4 of 7 from Finney-Smith. You get 6 of 10 from Bullock. And then you get also Kleber and Dinwiddie each put in 2 of their own. So you get these tertiary guys going, the offense gets rolling, but I don't think it's not nothing that without Steph Curry, they got that down to a 10-point lead. And with like 5 minutes left to play, I mean that's not an if you take away how you get there and you just tell me it's a 10-point deficit with 5 minutes left in the fourth, that's not an inconceivable deficit in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
And so it's a weird thing where it's like, I know I want to focus on the fact that the Warriors went up 3-0 and no team ever has come back from a 3-0 deficit, and I want to focus on the fact that the Mavs shooting went crazy in Game 4, but parts of me wants to focus on the fact that how did the Mavs keep it so close in Game 3, and then how did the Warriors almost break the Mavs and come back in Game 4? It's almost like these weird things that we didn't see that are more interesting to me in these games because they tell me more about what could happen down the line. I don't think the Mavericks are going to come back. But if they have another game or two of hot shooting, everything that we've seen so far around that tells me that they're going to be right there in those games.
You know, the other thing that I took to support your opinion, making the shots, that was the bottom line. Mm-hmm. But getting the ball to the shooters, despite the 23-point makes, the Mavericks really, really had to work to get the ball to the shooters. There were very few really easy ones.
Yeah,
I thought the Warriors did everything they could to make it difficult for them, but the Mavericks just made shots.
And I think that says both about how the Warriors have such a great system, but without guys like Gary Payton and without Klay Thompson at 100%, it can be, it can flourish, but it has to flourish against a team like the Mavericks who just do not have that level of offensive players on their roster. And so they're doing it against a team that's stressed, and this is why I'm still so confident that whoever comes out of the East is winning the championship, because the Warriors at times have been pressed and stressed by a team that shouldn't be at all. And so they should have won this series. This should have been 4-0. This should be 4-1. And any kind of pushback from the Mavericks, it's not like I don't want to give them credit, but there are clear flaws in this Mavericks team that tell me there's a reason they were a 4 seed, not a top 2 seed, and they're on the edge, but there's still a tier difference, and that's what makes me think that no matter how well the Warriors play, if anything, this Western Conference Final Series has pushed me even further into my opinion that this is whatever East Coast team comes out, it's their championship to win it, because the Warriors are impressive, but they should be more impressive against a team like the Mavericks right now.
That's interesting because I kind of take the same tactic or same tack. And then I'm saying, man, primarily because of injuries, but not totally, both Boston and Miami, I feel like I'm seeing warts that I hadn't seen before. we could argue, well, yeah, that's because you got maybe the two best teams playing each other, and that's going to happen. So I get that that's possible, but I also get injuries. And what I'm seeing from the Warriors, I'm wondering if, man, I think they can come back and win the whole thing again. So I do believe that.
Sorry, I was gonna say I had kind of an inkling of doubt in that same thing where I'm like, am I wrong about this whole Eastern Conference thing? But I feel like you were gonna try to get kind of sorry, I kind of interrupted you there. Get into a little bit. What are those? What kind of things? What are the movements in that feeling? Like what are some of the things that made you think? Was it the Warriors impressing you, or was it kind of some pockmarks coming out in the Rocc fight going on in the East?
It was both, and I know you'd been talking about the Warriors defense, and I should have listened to you more. I had to see it with my own eyes. And I think even in that loss, I'd mentioned it a moment ago, even in the loss, I'm going, these guys really get after it. Will they make some minor adjustments? Maybe, but maybe not. I'd almost dare them to make 23s again against that kind of defense. I think Green is playing well, and I don't think the Mavericks have a chance in Game 5. Now, based on my record, that means the Mavs are going to win in San Francisco because I've been wrong every time. But I think I really think the Mavericks stole that game, and to their credit, I'm not trying to say they didn't deserve it. They stole it though. They went and made shots. But I think the Mavericks make it, or the Warriors make it too hard for them to have another game like that.
Yeah, I'm actually with you there. I think that with the way that Luka kind of struggled, I think some people would wonder, are the Warriors maybe going to go back to forcing it to the point where Luka's going to beat it? If they're going to win a game, it's because Luka goes absolutely just nuclear on us. But we're not going to let guys like Maxi Kleba, Davis Bertans, Dinwiddie, we're not going to let these guys hit shots on us. We're going to cover that up and force Luka. I actually think they're going to keep what they did last night, and they're going to say, listen, if we lose to Dorian Finney-Smith and Maxi Kleba, fine. But it's not going to be because Luka Doncic puts up 40 on us with 14 rebounds and 12 assists and a bunch of highlight step-back threes. That's not going to be. So while I think if the Mavericks are going to win this series, and they're not going to, but if they're going to get it to maybe 6 or 7, Doncic is going to have to do that, and that's exactly why I think they're going to say, no, this is going to be the Dorian Finney-Smith series, if anything, that comes back to bite us in the ass.
Yeah, so I think that that Doncic has shown, despite his, let's face it, doughy appearance, you just look at him and you go, how can this guy be this great? But he's showing how he is one of the very best, very small handful of players in the league.
But hey, to that point though, let's not overlook that. There was 3 or 4 years ago, Giannis, and Giannis was never doughy. He was always kind of a stick. But he went from being a stick to ripped. I mean, just built. And he went from being this kind of a string bean to built. And so Luka has to harden some of those soft spots this offseason if he wants to take that next jump. And I think that's going to be a interesting thing to see. He can't have another season where he's kind of playing himself into shape.
Right.
The first half of the year. He's going to have a year where he comes in and he puts the work in the offseason. Jokic dropped a bunch of weight, and that helped him later on in the season. Now he was having to carry an entire basketball team for 82 games, so he was still pretty tired. But nonetheless, it helped. And so I think that's the big thing. He's got to get rid of some of that flab. He's got to get his stamina better. And if he does, that'll be a big thing, as well as Cuban shelling out some money. The Mavericks are going to be dangerous, but listen, he's got to do his own part. But the Mavericks also have a lot of work to do to keep him there for the long time.
Yeah, I think that's right. All right, let's talk about tonight's action. Celtics and the Heat. This is one of those games that it's fascinating, but also weirdly not fascinating. I don't want to say bad, but Okay, it's almost like, oh man, you jumped us tonight. All right, we're gonna phone the second half in. Oh, you got us tonight. Oh, okay, we're gonna. The outcomes are after a few minutes are not in doubt. It's just a real. It's just an odd series to watch in that regard. But on the winning teams each night, you see spectacular play.
Yeah, and that it's disappointing because it's they're such good teams, and it makes me wonder if that killer mindset's there. But at the same time, when they do get up, then they do have that like step on their throats mindset. So
Yeah,
it's always that question of who do we give credit, who do we blame, how much do you want to balance that out. I will say just right off the bat in that absolutely just ass beating that they gave them in the first quarter of that game. There is a world in a not so crazy reality where instead of it being 18-1 at the 4.5 minute mark, it is 18-12. I mean, those Heat shots are not terrible. Look, you go back and run through them. It's Bam Adebayo getting an elbow jumper, which he hits at in a league above average rate. It's Gabe Vincent getting a look. It's Max Strus getting a floater. It's Jimmy Butler getting a turnaround. Jimmy Butler getting a 17-footer. I mean, these are shots that the Heat have been hitting all year. That was just an anomaly in a really weird way. And I know that sounds dumb to say that a team set a record for not scoring a field goal or time it took them to score a field goal in a playoff game. I get that. But it's one of those things where if people want to focus on that run as the ability of the Celtics defense or the problem with Miami Heat's half-court offense, that's reasonable. But I couldn't help but think as I was watching it, I'm like, these are not terrible plays in any way, shape, or form. And so I don't want to focus too much in on that. But to be fair, if the Celtics defense is playing like that and the Heat get off to a bad struggle offensively, then yeah, we can see games like that because the Heat, kind of like the Grizzlies, are better in transition, and they need to get that defense to transition. The biggest difference here has been the Celtics not turning the ball over and also locking down on defense. And so I think there's these people want to overreact to this game 4. Everything makes me still think that the Heat are, in a lot of ways, just by the way they've played the majority of this series, the Heat are still my favorite to win this one right now.
That's interesting. Because I kind of think and these are huge ifs, I'm looking at the injury list, and Jimmy Butler is not listed on the injury list. He refuses. He's got a bad knee. Is he compromised, or is it just sore? The old. You got to know the difference between pain and injury to make it in this league, son. I think he does.
Yeah.
I think there might be some pain, but I think he's playing. And it makes me like him even more. But we'll watch to see if he's indeed compromised. And then the guy we talked about who's been in games when he's really been going, Strus is something, but he's listed as day-to-day. And I haven't seen if he's in for tonight or not.
And same thing on the other side. Marcus Smart still listed as questionable for tonight, as well as I'm blanking on the other Celtic right now.
Hauser? Williams?
Rob Williams III. Thank you. Rob Williams III also listed as questionable with his knee soreness as well. So, yeah, injuries. I mean, Tyler Hero was out of that Game 4 shellacking, and he's a huge part of their offense. So, I mean, how much do you factor that in? And that's what I'm saying is, I mean, the injuries have taken their toll on both teams. Kyle Lowry hasn't been 100% healthy when he has played, and hasn't played in some games as well, the majority of games. And so injuries have gone both ways. So I think that's kind of evened out. And so that's why I'm trying to just take the majority of things we've seen here in this series and extrapolate for what my feeling is here going into Game 5. And that's why I'm still going with the Heat. The big question, though, is, and this goes back to last series, right around Game 5 is when we were asking this question, and we got an answer. Is Jayson Tatum that guy? Because that's the question now. Now it's 2-2. It's best of 3, just like it was against Milwaukee. We saw what he did. Rough Game 5, unbelievable Game 6, and then a very solid Game 7 where he took some of the pressure off, passed the ball a little bit more, and they won against an incredibly good team. Now it's again, the script's right in front of him again, and it's almost maybe a little unfair that I'm saying after we, 2 weeks later when we said, hey, step up again, go to the next level as a player, beat Giannis. We're now saying it again, but You couldn't get past LeBron when you were younger, completely reasonable. You've lost to the Bucks and you've lost to the Heat in crucial moments in your career the last 2 years. You slayed Giannis, and now you have the Heat right in front of you on the doorstep to the finals. It may be unfair, but the fact of the matter is, in this situation, Jayson Tatum has another chance to jump up another level in people's consideration of him as a championship player, and he's got to win 2 out of 3 games to do it.
I would tell you, you could say the same thing about Jimmy Butler, who might be the most unintentionally disrespected great player in the league.
That's fair.
Didn't appear on any of the All-NBA teams. He can't shoot. Oh, he's not athletic enough. He's just a badass. And that is a real thing. And being that kind of a killer is, I think, one of the measures of being a terrific player, if not a great player.
And he's such an incredible leader, and that's why another thing I'm going to be watching here, Heat. Bam Adebayo has been disappointingly passive, especially offensively, a lot in this series. Jimmy Butler, as he showed us in his time in Minnesota, he doesn't like to play with certain kinds of players who are weak in his mind. Bam Adebayo isn't going to have another passive game like he had in Game 4 against the Celtics. I look at Bam Adebayo, especially if Robert Williams III is out tonight, to absolutely come out and show, Jayson has Jalen and a pretty good bench. Jimmy's got to have somebody else if Tyler's not 100%, and that's got to be me. I got to step up and be the number 2 on a championship team. No doubt about it. And so Bam's got to have a huge night tonight. And then obviously the injuries are going to be a huge kind of variable. This forces, we saw Duncan Robinson getting time last night. That's not going to continue to happen. But it just shows how they have stressed the bench at times. And I think the Heat are always willing to look for other opportunities to get something going. I think, again, this is a series that is predicated on defense. I called it a rock fight for a reason. The old heads who are watching the game, they should love this. This is 100% 90s Knicks level, just without the elbows. It's the same level of scoring with some more 3-pointers and a lot less elbows, but nonetheless some very good defense. And that's going to be the question: can one of these teams eke out 90-95 points to win this game tonight? I'm not sure if the Heat are going to have enough if Tyler Hero isn't 100%, but at the same time, there's no way that the Heat come out with the same kind of effort they had in Game 4. So defensively, if they're locked in like that, it's just going to be, can Jayson Tatum or Jimmy Butler lead their team? And that's what we had, Celtics, Bucks, and God, those 3 games were so much fun. So tonight's going to be a blast. I'm going to be flipping between that and the Blues game. It's going to be a great night to be a sports fan.
Yeah, it really will. And again, continuing my wrong streak.
Oh no, here we go.
I think the home teams win the next 3.
Oh, okay then. That's going to be tough. I think you're right though. I think, again, Tatum's going to have. I think he's going to step up and have 2 out of 3 huge games. I think that's he's gonna show up and show out in that way. I think that's going to be my guarantee across both these, is that Jayson Tatum is going to step up again for the second straight round. The question though is, where's Marcus Smart? Where's Robert Williams? Where's Tyler Hero? Where's Max Strus? Where are the other players around these guys? Yeah. Because as great as those guys are, Ime Udoka and Eric Spoelstra are too good of coaches to let one guy beat them.
All right. I'll finish with the most ridiculous prediction from a guy who can't get any of them right. This is the pivotal game for the Celtics.
Oh, for the Celtics. Okay.
If they win tonight, they win it in 6. If they lose tonight, Miami wins in 7, which goes back to my home games win. The only chance for the Celtics is they have to win tonight before Miami gets healthier. And if they do, they'll win 2 in a row and win the series.
All right. So they won game.
All you bettors out there, bet against that.
They did win Game 2 in Miami. That was when they won 127-102. Kind of, it was the first of the big flip flops. So they've won already in Miami. That's why we're here talking about it being a 2-2 series here, going back to Miami tonight. So again, it's going to be tricky. It's going to shift big on these injuries.
Yeah.
I don't think Kyle Lowry's a big one to look at. If he's out there, fine. But like we said with the Bucks, Giannis, Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum a couple weeks ago, this is going to come down to the stars, and I think it's a little bit different. I don't know if it's going to shift as much home and away, because I just don't think the shooters being able to have big nights on those kind of splits is going to matter as much in these games as it has in some of the Western Conference series. This is a game of 2 out of 3, Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown versus Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo. Classic stars against stars. Who's got the better ones? And then a little bit the variable of whose third guy is healthy and playing. Marcus Smart, Tyler Hero. That could be the kind of the last little variable at the end. Those guys have big games. Which of the guards is healthy coming off the bench, giving good defense and giving good offense?
I have 2 more topics we didn't talk about in our pre-show staff meeting. One was the other day, the All-NBA team came out, and I think you'll be pleased, and I didn't really care. I didn't have any dogs in the fight. I think I would have switched one spot, and I would have had Joel Embiid instead of Devin Booker, but I know you love Booker, and you probably think he should have been on the first team. So is Embiid the one you would have had off with Booker there? Do you think they got it right?
Yeah, I do think they got it. I do think they got it right. I mean, listen, I think the position thing is dumb, and they have to get rid of it because I just think it's ridiculous. Because I think you take Doncic out and you put Embiid in if you're just talking about the 5 best players. The first team All-NBA, in my opinion, the 5 best players.
You take Doncic out?
I honestly think that in the regular season,
you're against doughy people.
Yeah, of course. Me of all people is against doughy people. That's
self-loathing.
I was gonna say that's a self-loathing.
Sorry, I apologize.
I was gonna say listen, I was 2 seconds away from that joke. Don't worry about it. I would best 5. I honestly think that Doncic was a better, more impactful player this year. I mean, if you look at how good the Warriors were or the Suns were in the regular season, and it is a regular season award, we can talk about should you take the playoffs into account or not. But the bottom line is that when you look at what Devin Booker was able to do as part of one of the best defenses in the league, he was a better all-around player as well as being an MVP candidate, more so than Luka Doncic. And then the other players, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid, your top 3 MVP, I think. The argument Devin Booker should have been right there is what I've been saying the entire year. And then I'll be a little bit of a homer. I'll keep Jayson Tatum on that team.
Yeah, of course.
So exactly. And so I would actually, and so I hate that there's positions still. It's dumb. Positions shouldn't matter, especially when we're talking about something where it's potentially affecting how much a guy gets paid. We should literally be doing the best 5 players, the next best 5 players, because this is literally how supermaxes and those kind of weird contractual things in the NBA can get decided, is these votings. So take away the positions. Joel Embiid was undeniably a top 5 player in the NBA this year.
And the other thing about that, Rocc, is we've talked often about positionless basketball. Even a guy who you would say is clearly a center, in Giannis, brings the ball up all the time and is jacking threes. So I agree. It should change.
Nikola Jokic is like 4th in the in the league in assists this year. Change it. It's dumb. Good for DeMar DeRozan. I thought that one was a little bit high. The real funny one, if you want to get into real weeds about seeing what a bunch of NBA nerds are super pissed off about right now, the all-defense teams are a joke. They're a joke. Listen, we love Desmond Bane, but we talked a lot about how Desmond Bane was a great offensive player who needs to work on his defense. He got votes. I think he's on the all-defensive 3rd team.
I don't see it.
It's trash. It's horrible. Rudy Gobert was left off multiple voters' ballots for the all-defensive top 3 teams. The guy's won like 4 straight defensive player, like 3 of the last 4 defensive player of the years. He's undeniably an incredible defensive player who, yes, gets attacked in the playoffs because of how schemes change. But there were guys who just left him off the ballot entirely. It was horrible. This is why I hate that it's tied to contracts. It's dumb as hell. To all our writers friends who vote for it, I'm sorry. You should not. None of us should have an impact on what somebody gets paid. That's like, no, that should be wildly so far and away from the things they vote on and they get decided. It's stupid the NBA did that. It's not the journalist's fault. But yeah, not bad on the first, second, and third teams. But God bless, people do not understand defense.
Now my final topic. I'm going to set you up. I'm admittedly setting you up. Oh God,
here we go.
And this is a ridiculous topic. 2 gentlemen.
My favorite kind.
I won't even name them. They're fine broadcasters on ESPN. Do a great job. Get paid a lot of money. I tip my cap to them and would defer to them. And what they're trying to do is create conversation and guys like us to talk about it.
Oh God.
They win.
Okay, yes.
However, I'm going to start with, I'm not even going to tell you what the topic is. I'm just going to start with this. What's LeBron James' position?
Whatever you want it to be.
No, what's his position?
He's a forward.
Okay. They did their list of top 5 all-time point guards. You know who was number 1?
LeBron James. Oh, come on.
And guess who was not in the 5? This is what got me fired up because that point is just ridiculous. Here's what got me fired up. John Stockton's not on the list.
Okay, listen.
Now you see why I'm fired up.
I know why people hate on the Jazz from that era.
I don't.
Well,
explain it to me.
Okay, well, first of all, it's fun.
Great coach,
making fun of you,
of the earth guy who was a farmer.
Well, here's the thing. A couple things. One,
he's a great player on his own, by the way, Jerry Sloan.
Yes, he was. People like to make fun of Utah. They have the most inexplicable name in sports, despite the fact there being a lot of other terrible names in sports. So people like to make fun of that. In NBA circles, apparently, some people think that Jerry Sloan was a curmudgeonly asshole, which I think is fine. And everything I've heard from people who played for him is that, he was
Auerbach's a saint.
Yeah, like Jim Calhoun, literally cursed up Kemba Walker at every moment of the tournament that he dragged his team to a national title. He literally, as Kemba's, I was at courtside for 2 of their first round games. Kemba's coming to the sideline, winning the game by 15, and Jim Calhoun just lets out a string of curse words directly at him, despite the fact that he's leading his team to another win. And it's just that's Jim Calhoun, ladies and gentlemen. And so people don't like Jerry Sloan. There's a lot of people don't like Karl Malone because of the issues he's had in his personal life. But John Stockton is pristine. The man has 2,000 more steals than the next closest person on that list. So you can't even criticize and tell me that he wasn't at least a good system defender. And then he had he had the 3-point record for point guards for a long time until the league completely changed. And then obviously there's the assist record that is gorgeous, and also there's the moments of him talking about how no one recognized who he was whenever the dream team would go anywhere, while being one of the best players in the league and unquestionably a top 5 point guard in NBA history. First of all, the number 1 point guard in NBA history is Magic Johnson,
of course. That's undeniable.
And John Stockton's in the top 5. There's 2 years in his career where LeBron James played point guard. And it was 2 years ago with the Lakers when he led the league in assists, and maybe you can argue one of those teams with the Heat when he literally was either the power forward or the point guard every game. That's it, though. That's 2 years of 17 or 18, 2004. So 18 years, that's 2 years. LeBron James is not a point guard. Just like Larry Bird was not a freaking point guard. I don't care if they're 6'9" forwards who were very good at passing the ball and had court vision better than, yes, most point guards to ever touch a basketball. That doesn't make them point guards. And how the hell is John? Wait, what the hell? So LeBron, Magic, Isaiah.
Isaiah, I think, was 5th.
Chris Paul.
No.
Who the hell was else in the top 5?
I know. I got so fired up.
Oscar
Robertson was 3, I think.
Isaiah was 4, and then 5 was
Wasn't Jerry West, because I wondered.
Steve Nash?
No.
Bob Cousy.
Another older guy, but not Cousy.
Archibald.
No.
That's what, man. That's really interesting. Oh, I gotta find who did this list. Just say the names. I don't care.
No,
I need to see this.
No.
I want to find it.
It's just put top 5 point guards ESPN. I'm sure it'll come up and infuriate you.
Oh no.
That just boggled my mind.
I bet. Oh god, yeah, that's dumb. That's dumb. I hate that even. Okay. Again, positionless basketball. LeBron James is not a point guard. John Stockton's undeniably a top 5 point guard. There's so many things you can hate at. That's just so stupid. The funniest thing, I will say, one of the funniest things is that whenever something bad happens to the Utah Jazz, Vernon Maxwell gets on his Twitter and goes on like a 5-tweet string about how Utah is the worst city in the world and about how he hates Utah and he hopes nothing good ever happens to them. And he told them this when he was playing, and he's glad it keeps coming true. And for some reason, it's the consistency of it is so funny to me that Vernon Maxwell just hates the Utah Jazz so much that whenever they lose, he's like, "Yep. All right," and then
that's crazy.
It's kind of hilarious to me that he's like, Vernon, you have to have a nice house somewhere with a pool or a hot tub. Put the phone down and go relax, my dude.
Go relax, dude.
All
right, that's what we have for today. I just wanted to throw those extras at you. This has been the 2-man game brought to you by St. Louis Acura, Royal Banks of Missouri. That's Matt Rocc. I'm Bob Ramsey. Rocc, see you next time.
See you next time, Rammer.
See you, everybody.
At St. Louis Acura, new inventory is arriving daily, both new and pre-owned. Our buying team adds a higher level of personalized service that others can't match. We sell over 100 pre-owned vehicles monthly, and many of these are matched by our buying teams in Missouri and Illinois. As new Acura production ramps up, be one of the lucky ones to try the newest Type S models now available. Performance has never been so stylish and comfortable. St. Louis Acura remains committed to becoming better than ever for you.